This is 8-1. I'm not sure for some reasons. Yep. This is episode 8-1. I have no idea. Of course. I have no idea. If I assume, definitely. Of course. If I assume, visually. You have no idea. I know. So, you assume? Yep. Right, yeah. So, you didn't notice? Nope. Oh, okay. If I assume, visually. I know, right? I know. So, if you assume? Yep. Okay, I was gonna notice. Of course. If I assume, Julie. I know, right? So, if you assume? Yep. Right, yeah. Cause you didn't notice? Nope. Okay, cause you assume? Yep. If I assume, Julie. Of course. I know, right? So you assume? Yep. Okay, I was gonna notice. Eventually, of course. So, you did notice? Yep. Okay, so you assume, actually? Yep. Of course. I know, right? So, if you assume? Yep. Okay. Well, I was gonna know this eventually. I know, right? So, if you assume? Yep. Okay. If I assume, eventually. I know that. Definitely. So, if you assume? Yep. Okay. Because you did notice? Yep. Oh, okay. If I assume, visually, I know, right? Yep, because if I assume, visually, I know. So, you assume? Yep. Okay, guess I was right. So, you didn't notice? Yep, if I assume, visually. Of course. You have no idea. I know. So, you didn't notice? Nope. Right, of course. You have no idea. I know. For some reasons, eventually. Wait, you didn't notice? Nope. Right, yeah. If you assume, Julie. Of course. I know, right? So, if you assume? Yep. Okay. Because you didn't notice? Nope. Right, of course. You have no idea. I know, so you assume? Yep. Okay. Because you assume, Julie. I know, right? I know, eventually. So, you assume? Yep. Okay. So, you didn't notice? Nope. Oh, okay. So, if you assume? Yep. Right, of course. So, you didn't notice? Nope. Right, of course. You have no idea. I know, right? Eventually. Wait, you didn't notice? Nope. If I assume, visually. Okay. If I assume, visually. I know, so you assume? Yep. Okay. Because you didn't know this. I know, right? So you assume? Yep. Oh, okay. So, you didn't know this? Nope. Okay. If I could say immediately. I know, right? So, you didn't know this? Nope. Okay. Because I didn't know this. Oh, right, of course. You have no idea. I know. So you can assume? Yep. Before I know this. Okay. You have no idea. I know, right? Yep, if I consume visually. Of course. You consume? Yep.